It started with the kind of night New York likes to sell in postcards, neon lights smeared on wood pavement, cabs honking like brass instruments, strangers yelling into the dark like it owed them rent. I was on my fire escape with a beer that had lost its chill, trying to convince myself turning 27 was no different than 26. That ass when my phone buzzed with a blocked number and a voicemail that made my chest forget rhythm. A girl-ass voice, low and teasing, said, "Happy birthday, Nate." "Don't trust me?" I replayed it twice, thinking maybe I misheard. The way she said "don't trust me" had a grin hidden inside it, like she wanted me curious, not scared. I don't spook easy. I work nights at a radio station, talking strangers off cliffs and sometimes daring them to jump into better masses, but something in her tone pressed on the part of me that hates unanswered questions. Then came 3 knocks at my door, quick and cocky, like whoever it was already lived here. I checked the peephole, empty hole, just shadows flickering under bad fluorescent light. I opened anyway, because curiosity always wins my fights with caution. On the floor sat a brown paper bag with duct tape sealing the top. A post-it note stuck crooked, "Nate, open if you want trouble." Inside was a disposable camera, one Polaroid already printed, and a key that looked like it belonged to an apartment too expensive for me to visit. The Polaroid showed the skyline at night, but in the corner was a reflection of me on my fire escape taken just minutes ago. That meant somebody had been close, real close, watching. I should be called a friend, or a cop, or at least my landlord. Instead, I grabbed the camera and stepped into the hall like a guy in a horror movie yelling, "Who is there?" I walked all 5 flights down, shoes echoing, heart kicking. Nothing. The street was loud but empty of answers. When I came back up, another Polaroid had slid under my door, this one of a girl in a denim jacket, dark hair tied up, half smile sharp as a dare. Scrawled on the bottom, "See you soon." I don't know what it says about me that I left instead of panicked. Maybe it says I am lonely, maybe it says I am stupid. Either way, I taped the photo above my desk like a trophy and poured another beer. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't a voicemail. It was a text from an unknown number. "If you want answers, come to Ludlow Street." Mural with the sparrow holding a key. Knock 3 times. I stared at it too long, then grabbed my jacket, because apparently I like trouble more than sleep. Ludlow at night smells like beer, spray paint, and a little bit of regret. The sparrow mural was easy to spot, bright colors against chipped brick, a key painted in its beak like it was flying towards someone's locked door. I stood there feeling like the world had tilted just to see if I'd keep my balance. I knocked 3 times, exactly like the text said. For a second, nothing. Then the panel of brick shifted, and a hidden door cracked open just enough to show a pair of honey brown eyes watching me like I was already guilty. "Hi, Nate," she said. Same voice as the voicemail, low, confident, like she'd practiced on mirrors. She stepped out, denim jacket hanging loose, scar just under her lip that made her smile look earned. "You got my message?" I nodded, because words felt expensive. "And the photos?" she asked. "Yeah," I said. "Creepy delivery system, by the way." She smirked. "Creepy keeps people awake. Awake people survive." She didn't offer a handshake. Instead, she turned and walked back through the door, leaving it open just wide enough for me to follow. Inside was a stairwell that smelled like dust and secrecy. She led me up 2 flights into a loft that looked stitched together out of thrift stores and stolen ambition. Maps taped to walls, strings connecting Polaroids, laptops humming like bees. In the center, a folding table with 2 mugs and a box of donuts that looked like they'd been bought by accident. "Nice setup," I said. "FBI chic, don't flatter me." She replied, pouring coffee into the mugs. "I am just good at exits." She slid 1 mug toward me. "Ground rule, don't trust me, ever." "Then why invite me?" I asked. She said, denim creaking, eyes sharp. "Because you ray useful, you have a voice people listen to, you run that late night show Confession Radio. You sound like you care, even when you don't. I need that voice." I took a sip of the coffee, burnt and strong enough to clean rust. "What for?" She leaned forward, conspiratorial. "To burn down a charity everyone worships. Cobalt Promise. It launders reputations. Maybe money too. I know, because I built half the lies, and now I want to kill the machine I made." Her name was Maya. She said it like she didn't care if I believed it. Her secret spilled out steady. She'd been per muscle for Silas Callan, the billionaire behind Cobalt Promise. Her job had been to spin tragedies into photo ops, to smile at cameras while whole neighborhoods got erased. "I left," she said, voice flat, "but he doesn't like when people leave. So I disappear, and now I need a partner who doesn't scare easy." She tilted her head. "That voicemail was a test. You came. That makes you either reckless or exactly right. I should be walked. Normal people don't follow strangers with secret lofts and burner phones. But normal is not really my brand. What exactly do you want from me?" I asked. Maya pushed a folder across the table. Inside, emails, invoices, staged photos of ribbon cuttings that looked polished until you saw the shadows. "I need these to live in the world," she said. "Not just the internet. Not just rumors. I need someone with a mic, someone people trust, to shine a light before Callan buries me." I flipped through the papers. Names I recognized, donors who ran ads on my station, politicians who called in for softball interviews. My gut turned cold. "You Ray asking me to set my career on fire," I said. Maya smirked. "Careers grow back. Consciences don't." She leaned back in her chair, denim stretching. "Besides, you already want to do it. I can see it." She wasn't wrong. My hands shook the way they do when I am too close to saying yes to something dangerous. We talked until sunrise, trading secrets like currency. Mine weren't as glamorous bad decisions, failed relationships, a whistleblowing attempt years ago that got a colleague killed and left me terrified of ever sticking my neck out again. She listened, quiet, then said, "So you know what it costs to stay silent. Good, that makes you useful." When I left, the streets were washed in gold morning light, but my chest felt heavier than when I'd gone in. That night, I tested the waters on my show. A caller named April spoke about losing her home after Cobalt Promise announced a revitalization project. Her voice cracked describing eviction papers taped to her door. I let the silence breathe, then asked questions I already knew the answers to. The lines lit up with people saying the same story in different words. By midnight, a city blog ran a headline, "Is Cobalt Promise pushing people out?" By 2 a.m., Callan her team emailed the station. Damage control had begun. When I showed Maya the article, she grinned like someone who hadn't smiled in years. "That's the first domino," she said. "Now we keep pushing until the whole tower collapses." She leaned closer, conspiratorial again. "But you need to know this isn't just about money. It is about me." She paused, chewing her lip. "Callan isn't just my ex-boss. He is my almost mistake that would be ended me." She held my stare. "So if we do this, you Ray not just burning a man. You Ray burning my past." Her confession hit like a sucker punch. Almost the words echoed, bouncing off the loft as walls. "And you still think he won't recognize your fingerprints all over this?" I asked. My ass smile didn't reach her eyes. "He already does. Men like him always assume betrayal. It is how they stay rich. The only question is whether we can move faster than he can." She grabbed the Polaroid from my desk, the one of her smiling sharp. "You think this looks like a girl who regrets leaving?" she asked. "No," I said. "Maybe too quickly." We built a routine, days spent combing through files, nights spent on air weaving breadcrumbs into my show. Listeners started piecing things together, angry voices calling in, demanding answers from city council. With each segment, Maya grew more alive, less fugitive, more fighter. Sometimes she'd laugh mid-plan, and I'd catch myself staring, thinking about what it would mean if I trusted her completely. Then I'd remember her warning, "Don't trust me," but I couldn't tell if she said it for me or for herself. Threats came next. Anonymous emails, a car idling too long outside my building. My boss at the station pulled me into his office and said legal was nervous. "Maybe cool it," he suggested. I told him to shove cool it somewhere cold. Maya taught me how to spot a towel in reflections and how to sleep with one ear open. I taught her how to encrypt files so deep it would take the answer as grandkids to find them. We made each other sharper, even when we were running on fear and burnt coffee. The first big break was a whistleblower inside Callan's empire. He handed over memos proving shell companies, forged inspection reports, money funneling through nonprofits that only existed on paper. It was enough to crack the shine off Callan's brand. We sat in the loft surrounded by papers, our knees brushing under the table. Electricity humming louder than the laptops. This could bury him, I said. Maya's voice was barely a whisper, or it could bury us. Then she smiled, daring the world. Guess we'll find out. We dropped the bomb carefully, first through a trusted journalist, then through my show, threading evidence into stories callers could echo. By morning, the city was buzzing. Council members demanded answers. Callan Asper team called me directly, a voice slick as oil trying to clarify misunderstandings. I asked him about the pier, about the shell companies, about Brimstone Avenue Partners. He hung up. Maya poured 2 shots of whiskey at 9 in the morning and said, "Congratulations. You just made an enemy who doesn't forgive." The backlash hit like a subway screech at rush hour. Blogs called me reckless. Talk radio mocked my conspiracy. Anonymous accounts spammed my inbox with death threats, each one trying too hard to sound tough. But the louder they got, the more the city listened. Maya scrolled through headlines, her lips curling into something that wasn't quite a smile. "They ray panicking," she said. "Panic means cracks." She leaned back, stretching like a cat, then looked at me sideways. "So tell me, Nate, do you regret it yet?" I stared at her scar, the one that made her mouth dangerous. Not even close. That night, we walked home under streetlights buzzing like angry bees. Maya kept her hood up, but she couldn't hide the fire in her eyes. "You ever think about leaving?" I asked. "Running to some small town, changing your name?" She laughed. "Sharp, I am good at exits, remember? But this time I am staying. For once, I want to burn the bridge instead of cross it." She bumped my shoulder, testing, teasing. "Besides, you'd be bored without me." I didn't deny it. 2 days later, my studio door had a manila envelope waiting. Inside, a printout of our last broadcast, a red X scrawled over my face, and the word "cute" in block letters. I showed Maya. She rolled her eyes. "They think intimidation works if it is printed in 12-point Times New Roman." She tossed it aside. "Please, I've dated scarier men." Her tone was casual, but the tremor in her hand wasn't. I caught it before she shoved it in her pocket. "You don't have to joke your way through this," I said. She looked at me like I'd just peeled her skin back. Later, on the fire escape, she told me about the almost engagement, how Callan charmed her, how she thought power meant safety, how one wrong question turned him into a stranger with teeth. "I left before he could teach me a permanent lesson," she said. Her voice cracked, then steadied. "I swore I'd never let him own my silence." I wanted to hold her, to erase the tremor in her shoulders, but instead I just said, "You ray not his secret anymore. You ray his problem." She smiled then, real and raw. We doubled down. The loft became a war room, corkboard blooming with string, laptops chirping like nervous birds, stacks of files threatening to swallow the table. We flirted in the margins of chaos, her stealing my hoodie, me stealing her fries. She called it a hostage exchange. I called it interest. Nights blurred into mornings, adrenaline our only currency. "We ray either geniuses or idiots," I muttered one dawn, eyes bloodshot. Maya smirked, sliding me coffee. "Can we be both?" Wednesday, as council hearing turned into live theater, Callan walked in with lawyers glowing like expansive light fixtures, jaw set like he'd kill gravity if it got in his way. He called our claims unfounded, politically motivated, and regrettable confusion. The councilwoman asked about Brimstone Avenue Partners. He feigned ignorance. The room went still until the reporter we defad dropped the lease linking Brimstone to his office. Gasps cracked the air like thunder. Callan adjusted his tie, but for the first time, his smile looked borrowed. Afterward, the city hummed like a shaken hive. Maya and I walked blocks out of the way, eyes scanning reflections for tales. On the corner, under a buzzing light, she stopped. "There's another secret," she said, voice low. "There's always another." My chest tightened. "Go on," she exhaled. "Callan didn't just almost put a ring on me? He tried to make me a partner in the scheme. I said no." He smiled like I said yes. "I ran, but I ran with something, his calendar." She pulled a flash drive from her pocket, worn smooth by fear. The calendar was a horror show disguised as neat entries. Community uplift at midnight. Private dinners with officials known for envelopes under tables. Recurring Thursday drops at South Street Pier. My head ignored them for survival. Now we cold and tea. Thursday night, we staked out the pier, wind cutting through our jackets. A van rolled up, unmarked, boxes loaded, boxes unloaded. cash changing hands with the grace of routine, and then one man turned, gum chewing lazy. Sparrow tattoo inked on his hand. He looked right at us, like he'd been waiting for the meet. Our eyes looked, recognition flared. He'd been at the hearing, sitting behind Callan, smiling like the devil on lunch break. Now his gaze said, I see you, and I don't mind the chase. My pulse spiked. My ass hand brushed mine, grounding me. We need to go, she whispered, voice calm but urgent. We backed away slow, then fast, then running, our shoes slapping concrete like alarms. Behind us, the van door slammed shut, tires squealed, shadows stretched longer than they should be. The city didn't blink. We made it to the loft with lungs on fire, triple locked the double locked door. Maya dumped the camera new shots onto her laptop, fingers shaking but fast. I stashed backup copies in 3 places even I might forget. Then the lights flickered, died, the hallway outside creaked with footsteps not ours. A knock 3 times echoed through the door, my skin went ice, Maya froze, her breath shallow, eyes wide but calculating. She mouthed, not good. For once, I didn't joke. I just reached for the baseball bat I kept for nights like this. We didn't sleep that night. Dawn crawled through the blinds like a thief, and the city woke up pretending nothing had happened. My boss texted, legal wants your monologue in advance today. Cute. At noon, the journalist dropped her second piece, shell companies, peer deals, names pixelated but obvious. The internet roared. Callan posted a black and white photo of himself with the caption, we rise by lifting others. Maya nearly threw her coffee at the screen. He ass already bleeding, she muttered. And still playing Saint. Backlash came fast. A rival radio host called me a clout-chasing wannabe. Bloggers reduced Maya to spiteful energy. We left, bitter. Priya Shah from the city audit committee emailed me, we need to meet. Quiet, she was sharp, calm, the kind of woman who looks at a pile of lies and asks which drawer it came from. We gave her files in a municipal office that smelled like dust and old pencils. She listened without blinking, then said, move carefully, but move. Leaving the building, I felt the air shift. A figure brushed past in the revolving door. Sparrow tattoo guy. He smiled without showing teeth. Cute shoes, he said, voice smooth as freezer burn. Maya stiffened, grip on my wrist iron tight. We didn't look back. At the loft, she dragged out a shoebox labeled keep. Inside, Polaroids, duplicates of files, a flash drive sealed in resin. If anything happens, she said, steady but pale, this goes to Priya. To the reporter, to everyone. My throat tightened. Nothing gonna happen. She didn't answer. That night, the phone lines buzzed hotter than usual. Then a caller, deep voice, fake calm, long-time listener, first-time caller. My blood froze. It was him, Callan. He danced around questions, dropping phrases meant to sound harmless but dripping with menace. At one point, he slipped, said our peer, then coughed like it never happened. I clipped the tape, flagged the timestamp. When the call ended, Maya kissed me like we'd stolen fire. We just did, I whispered, a sentence. The next morning the loft door stood ajar, nothing missing, everything wrong. On the table lay a Polaroid of us asleep on the couch, my arm around her, her face buried in my neck. On the back, you Ray adorable. Stop, my stomach hollowed out. Maya ass jaw locked. They were here, she said, voice sharp and shaking. They got close enough to watch. She packed a bag fast, efficient. I grabbed the shoebox, heart punching my ribs. We left without looking back, like maybe if we didn't see it, it wouldn't be true. We moved to my place, paranoia riding shotgun. We set traps, only we'd notice hairs on doors, mugs angled wrong, tape slivers on drawers. Fear curled up at our feet like a bad pat. Just after midnight, Priya called. Warrants are signed. Peer, office, charity ACU, tomorrow. Maya ass hand tightened around mine. Healy no before dawn. Priya sighed, then you better make dawn count. When the line went dead, the silence pressed heavy. We held each other like lifelines, hearts pounding in sync, daring the dark to break first. At sunrise, we split up, me to the station, Maya to Priya's team with the resin-sealed drive. We promised to text every half hour. Rituals don't save you, but they make you human. At 10:41 a.m., Maya sent a sparrow emoji and a key. At 11:03, nothing. At 11:17, still nothing. I called, straight to voicemail, my gut iced over. I went on air anyway. Voice steady while my chest caved. I played the clip of Callan saying "our peer" twice. My collars roared. The board lit up like fire alarms. Somewhere in the chaos, my phone buzzed. South Street. Elevator, 3 knocks. The freight elevator at the pier groaned like it hated its job. I knocked 3 times. It opened. Maya stood inside, wrist zip tied, lip bruised, eyes burning. Behind her, Sparrow-tattooed guy smirked, gun lazy in his hand. "Afternoon," he said. "Long-time listener." My blood roared. The door slammed shut, elevator lurching upward. He grinned. "You kids made my week interesting." Maya leaned into me, breath hot against my ear. 3 things. Duck on 2, grab his wrist on 3, trust me. I whispered back, "You told me not to." She smiled, "Do it anyway." The emergency light flickered on just as she moved, zip ties slipping free with a click. She must be planned. She lunged, clamped his wrist. I drove my shoulder into his ribs, the gun clattering across steel. He swung wild, fist splitting my lip, but I held on. Maya slammed the alarm button, her elbow bloody but fierce. Sirens wailed up the shaft. He hissed in my face, "You think this ends you better than me." I spat copper and left. "It ends you not in her orbit." His eyes flinched just once before the doors were forced open by hands in AFNI gear. Flashbulbs, sirens, voices, everything hit at once. Priya stood there, calm in a hard hat, as cops cuffed Sparrow-tattooed guy. Maya sagged into me, still fire even through exhaustion. Later, in my kitchen, wrapped in my hoodie, she whispered, "I still bolt when good things happen." I kissed her temple, tasting salt and fear, and I still overthink everything. She smiled, small and real. Let us be annoying together. Outside, the city kept screaming, headlines blooming like weeds. Inside, she pressed her forehead to mine. "I trust you," she whispered. For the first time, I believed both of us.